the question of technology. The technology we're looking for, we have a couple of that are in pursuit, close pursuit, are technologies that we know there are thousands of inventors and groups around the world over the years who have been victimized by new energy suppression. And the Federation of American Scientists in 2010 wrote a report on this, their national security project, that over 5,100 patents had been seized. Dr. Tom Vallone was witness to this when he was at the patent office, and we have his interview. However, most people, it never even gets to that. They're just working on something, covert programs, monitoring, as Ben Rich of Lockheed Skunk Works says, there are no private conversations anywhere on earth. They go in and they just seize it. Or it begins to emerge and it gets tied up in a legal or business entanglement. And usually the business that is doing this is a front for the intelligence community and or the cartels involving oil, fossil fuels, petrodollar, macroeconomic interests who want to keep this secret. So if you have been a victim of this, we want to hear from you. Just like if you have been a victim of a covert hoaxed abduction or mutilation event. If you have been a perpetrator working on behalf of the U.S. government or a corporation to acquire these technologies and keep them secret, we want you to come forward and tell your truth. And you will be protected as you do this. So that's another category of witnesses we want. Now, when we're talking about a system that's operational, we have a team of people. It's backed up out of Europe by thousands of engineers. And if you have a legitimate operational system or can build one up because you have done so in the past, very quickly, and by very quickly I mean within the next couple of months, we require the following. It must be able to be transparently tested and then from the plans independently reproduced and proven. We are not interested in secret black boxes at all. You must be willing to cooperate with a project of this technology being open sourced and provided to the world without patent or intellectual property limits. This does not mean, and this is the first time in my 26 years I can state this, listen very carefully, this does not mean that you will not be compensated. If you put your life's work in this, you will be compensated. And I'm not going to talk about numbers, it's not appropriate, but let's just say any reasonable amount can be provided to you. And then lastly, it has to be closed loop. What do I mean by closed loop? It has to be something that the input power that starts the technology, whether it's a battery or a capacitor system or whatever it is, has to be run from the output while the device is still carrying, running something in the real world with wattage power. A practical operating system. But it cannot be plugged into a wall. If it's plugged into a wall, it has to be unplugged. It has to have a power-up unit that stays charged. So it is a freestanding, continuously running, over unity, quote, free energy system. Now, free energy is actually the wrong term because you're actually pulling energy from this almost infinite or perhaps infinite field that Tesla described of whether it's zero point or quantum vacuum. You can argue about what it is, and the same thing with LENR. But it has to be closed loop, it has to be transparently tested, and we must be able to independently reproduce it, at our cost, not yours. And you must cooperate with it being massively disclosed. Our goal is that at least 1 billion people will learn about this system, whatever this system is. And I'm fairly confident that we can do this. Now the reason for that is that once hundreds of millions or a billion or two people know about it, it doesn't matter if the mainstream media won't report it because they're lackeys of the agency, the intelligence community. Because with the social media and the internet, which was nowhere near as developed in 2001 as it is now, it will be out there. Moreover, we have identified a number of household name celebrities who are extremely interested in this, and who could have their home or car running on such a system. There's no way to stop the public knowing about it at that point. Now, this strategy is a complete sort of an aikido, where you take the energy of secrecy, intellectual property, the sort of golem-like "my precious" with the ring, and you just put it out to the public. And this completely frustrates all the traps that have been set by the corporate intellectual property, patent, and intelligence community to seize and suppress these technologies. We have mapped out dozens of strategies that those who want to keep these technologies secret have used. And the strategy we have developed will frustrate all of them. But it requires a completely different thinking than what is normally done in Silicon Valley, for example, with intellectual property, where the new Apple iPhone is more secret than the National Security Agency's algorithms. It is taking completely the opposite approach, where it's fully disclosed massively the instant we prove it is legitimate. Now, that is key. We do not want to disclose something that is not legitimate. One last requirement: the technology must not have either extremely rare and therefore non-commercially viable materials in it, meaning that you can only make 10 of them in the world because we need 1 billion of them. And it cannot have hazardous materials in it or as a byproduct of its operation, including radioactive or other hazardous materials. So these are the criteria that we are looking for. So if you are listening and you know someone who may have this system, the technology, or you yourself does, please contact us at Energy, like E-N-E-R-G-Y, at SeriousDisclosure.com. That's Energy at SeriousDisclosure.com. And we will get back to you as soon as we can.